Hello everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome to my channel. Those of you who are brand new, welcome. Those of you who are returning, welcome back. It's always good to see you again. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Kat Bowser. I am a licensed therapist, but I am also an author working on my first novel. And in my channel, I like to dig into what I consider to be the heart of writing, which is the characters. And the heart of the characters is in their psychology. So on my channel, we will dig into world building, character development, plot development, tropes, all those things, all from a psychological point of view, because I think that is a fascinating way to dig into these well-known traits of the writing process. So for today, I actually have a book review for you guys. This is actually my second attempt filming it because I don't know why, but book reviews are hard for me to film. No idea why, because I usually have a lot to say, but you know, what are you going to do? So today I'm going to be reviewing The Founding Lie by Nicole McKeon. I'm hoping I said your name right. I actually received this as an ARC review, and I did post my review on Goodreads and Amazon, but I've wanted to do a video review of it for a while, so here we are. So first and foremost, I like to give you guys kind of an idea of what the book is about. This one falls into the science fiction fantasy category, and it is actually the second book in the Eververse Chronicles. I actually have not read the first book, although it is on my to-be-read list, along with several others. But that being said, I don't think it is required reading to understand this one. So, first and foremost, what is the overall plot? The basic plot behind this book is we follow Allie, our main character, and she is a member of the Ventivore force, which I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's my best attempt. And she is on a journey essentially of vengeance, although she is following other goals as well. Her overall goal is to get revenge for things that have occurred to her in the first book. So what I generally do when I look over a book is I look at the things that I thought were done well, the things that I think could use improvement, and the things that I thought were very unique or very well done. So first and foremost, what do I think was done very well? The world building. The world building in this book is excellent. Being it's in the science fiction category, we go to several different locations. We understand and learn about different races, different technologies, different ideals, and I always love seeing that. A lot of times with science fiction, we tend to be confined usually to one race or one group, and while that's usually fun and it's interesting, I think it's much more interesting when you take people from one location and you throw them in various other locations. You throw them into different ideas and beliefs, and you get to see how they contrast and how they don't always agree, they don't always mesh. And that is a lot of fun for me to read and to explore, and this book does it very, very well. The other aspect is that in science fiction, there is a fine line between what I consider to be believable and fantastical. And I think this book rides right on the line. So that's actually a good thing, because if you go over the line, it's kind of hard for me to be engaged because I kind of dismiss it as, well, I can't really see this happening. But if you lean too much on the other side, I want more. I want to see a little more of the fiction aspect of the science fiction come in. And this one perfectly balances it. Everything that is done is believable to me, with just an edge of, this is a little past what we can prove or do, but I totally buy that it's doable. And I really like that balance. It's a lot of fun, and it adds to that world building concept. Secondly, or actually thirdly, apparently I cannot count today, the characters. Specifically for me, I really liked the secondary characters, And that's not to say I dislike the main character. I don't. She's interesting, she's engaging, she has some baggage in the past that makes us root for her. But I just found the secondary characters more, I don't know, they seemed more unique to me and they were more interesting. So I loved seeing them play off Allie. That was a lot of fun. It was something that I think a lot of authors don't use their secondary characters well. They're kind of just there to fulfill a function, and that's not what happens here. Each secondary character is well fleshed out. They're believable, but they have their own flaws and their own initiative as well. And that is always a treat to see, because the more fleshed out your characters are, the more invested I'm going to be. So that being said, what are things I think don't work as well in this story? First and foremost, like I said, I was connected more to the secondary characters than I was the main character. And again, I don't think that's because the main character is bad. I just think it's because the secondary characters appeared more unique to me. But the main character isn't bad. She's still engaging, she's still interesting. I still really wanted her to achieve her goals. I really wanted to learn more about what happened to her. But I think this is also where the fact it's a second book in a I think it's a trilogy or a series comes in. I haven't read the first one, so a lot of her past I am unaware of. I don't fully know what happened, but while I don't think it kept me from enjoying this book, I definitely think if I'd read the first one, I would have enjoyed it more. The author is actually very good. She puts in enough information that you get a basic idea of what happened, but it's not so much that you're repeating the first book over and over again. So I do enjoy that. And so I'm putting the main character in my needs improvement for now. After I read the first book, I have a feeling that's probably going to change. But for the moment, like I said, main character's not bad. I just wasn't as invested in her as I would have liked to have been. And now let's see, having said that, it is a slow burn. This book starts off a little on the slow side. Now for me, I like that. I like books that take their time. I like books that slowly introduce you to the world, to what's going on, get you involved, get you to understand the characters, and then throw the plot at you. That is my preference. So I actually don't consider this necessarily a negative, but I know some people will. So that's why I'm putting it in here. If you're not a fan of slow burns, the beginning of this book might be a little hard for you, but I encourage you to read through it anyway, because the things you learn about the characters and about the world are going to be very important as you move on. So I definitely still, even if slow burn is not usually your thing, I still recommend you give it a shot. And just when you get to where the plot starts, you're going to be thankful you took the time to get there. And thirdly, what are some things I find very unique about this story? I'm not going to go into spoilers because I think it's important to keep this spoiler free for you guys. But I will say that there is reference to trauma of various types in this story, and it is done spot on well. Most of the time, especially in fantasy and science fiction, characters go through something, they have a moment or two where they kind of struggle with it, but then they move on and everything is like it was before. I can't stand that because it's not realistic. This book doesn't do that. I am so happy to report it does not do that. It is not so much that it overtakes the plot, and I think that is important too, because you definitely don't want, even if you're doing character-driven story, you don't want one element overtaking everything, and that's not what happens. But the effects of the past do still affect the characters in the present, and they still have to deal with the outcome of it. And I really enjoy seeing that. And then the last portion I like to bring up is what I consider to be, I run every book I read through what I call a psychological realism. And essentially what this is if they bring up psychological issues, mental illness, things like that, I rank it on how realistic it's handled. 1 being not at all, 5 being almost spot on. So for this book, how would I rank it? I'd give it about a 4 out of 5. I very rarely give a 5 out of 5 on psychological realism, simply because I think in order to get a 5 out of 5, it almost has to be a memoir, to be honest. I wouldn't even rank my own stories 5 out of 5, and I'm a therapist. So, but I definitely think it is well done. Like I said, it's one of my favorite aspects of this book, that trauma is addressed, and it's addressed realistically. It doesn't just go away. It affects the characters. They have to deal with it. They have to deal with the outcome of it. And I rarely see that. So I was very happy to see it in this book. So definitely 4 out of 5 on the psychological realism scale. On the ranking scale, I would rank it 4 out of 5 as well. Not quite a 5-star book for me. Reason being, like I said, I think it mainly has to do with, I haven't read the first book. It doesn't make this book bad, though. I still really recommend this book. I still think if you like science fiction, if you like fantasy, if you like well-developed characters, if you like to explore very interesting worlds, definitely check this one out. It's totally worth your time. I would just recommend, if you have the option, read the first book first, because that's on my list. Thank you guys for checking out my review of The Founding Lie. I hope you guys found it interesting. I am also going to link the author's YouTube channel below, as well as my Goodreads review for those of you who are interested. And as always, if you guys have suggestions, please let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to respond to them as quickly as I can. And as always, if you enjoy my content, make sure that you subscribe and ring the bell, and I will let you know whenever I post a new video. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good one.